I love a couch in a room without a TV. Just this comfortable spot where the expectation isn't to watch something. Just relax. Think. All right, this week's shortlist is on workspaces. One is a super fun kind of space. One I know really well because we built it for my wife. And one that is almost great minus kind of this one decision that I wish they would have reconsidered. As always, on these short lists, I'll talk about how I would try to get the same or similar vibe in an affordable and approachable way. So I'm doing this one from my own workspace. That's a mess right now. I have a project going on, an outdoor sauna that I'll make some videos on if you're interested. But honestly, there's pretty much always a project going on, so this place is always messy, which is kind of what a workspace is for. So more people than ever are working remotely. I totally understand the need for kind of a monitor, screen, desk layout system. We have, something similar, but these spaces aren't kind of those. These are spaces where you could maybe bring a laptop, but I think the goal of them are to get away from screens and do the things that you really enjoy. Maybe that is for a job, or maybe it's just a hobby. It is thinking about the things you like to do, whether it's writing or art or woodworking or reading or whatever is important, and building a space that encourages you to do that. And depending what you're into, those spaces could be totally different. Obviously, you don't need a woodworking shop if you're into reading and writing. All right, let's jump in. So this one is from a home from a furniture maker in Japan, Roisuke Kuretani. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, sorry. Such a fun and simple room. The first thing I notice is that tile floor. The texture of it, the color, it just feels so durable, beautifully designed industrial warehouse. It might be hard to clean. It's kind of hard to tell how much texture is on it. So if you wanted to go with something kind of easier to clean, this shark skin limestone looks really cool and kind of substitutes more pattern instead of having kind of that texture. Now, also notice how this tile goes up the wall to form a baseboard before transitioning to the plaster wall. Such a little detail, but it just makes the room feel more utilitarian. Want to do stuff in it. I think everyone should kind of consider how those transitions meet from one plane to another. I hate baseboards. I try to avoid them. Sometimes you can't. But this is a great way to do it. You have a table, for reading, writing, sketching, whatever. You have this simple, beautiful desk, great chairs, stools that can be moved around, a couch. I love a couch in a room without a TV. Just this comfortable spot where the expectation isn't to watch something. Just relax. Think. All of these kind of Calder-like mobiles hanging from the ceiling and the art are just so playful and get your imagination going. And lastly, these little inset shelves in the plaster. Those do take some thought and consideration, framing the wall, your insulation, but I think it adds so much to the room. I mean, it's barely functional, and this is one of the only times, I'll talk about something that's not functional being great. But I just think it's kind of inspiring and makes the room special. So if you want to learn how to veneer plaster, we did it on our home. I would watch this guy's videos. I plan to make some more videos on veneer plastering soon. Okay, I know this second space very well because it's the studio we built for my wife, who is an artist and designer and maker of things. And not to be too salesy, but she has a beautiful book of photographs and writing out now that I think is just really wonderful. So if it looks interesting, the link is below. So the studio kind of serves double duty as where she works and as kind of a guest quarters when people come to visit. So there's a kitchenette, a little bathroom, but mostly it's a place for my wife to make stuff. We chose this microcement floor because they are easy to sweep up, mop, get paint off of. This standing desk is also a drafting table. This storage desk, this wall unit with the loft ladder, all that's plywood, so it's easy to hang stuff, it's durable, lots of storage for supplies, tables, stools, a sink, nice light, everything you need to get stuff done. If you're interested, I have a video kind of breaking down the cost of this studio and kind of the steps that we went through. So that should be somewhere over there. Okay, lastly, I don't know anything about this space, but I love everything about it except for one thing. But before we get into the details, I think this is actually just kind of an open plan part of a kitchen, which is great. The place you work or do stuff does not have to be some separate dedicated room or a detached studio. You can build in working spaces into other areas like a kitchen or a large bedroom or a large living room. This wood sliding wall that kind of can partition part of the room away. And that's something you can pretty easily make. The tracks aren't terribly expensive. So you could make the door panels out of, good plywood. So if you have a bigger room that you could segment off a portion of without it, feeling weird, I think that's a really fun way to create privacy or just giving spaces kind of different intentions. The plywood ceiling and those beams are beautiful. That skylight and the shape of the roof is super interesting. I also love these plywood floors. So plywood floors are really hard to do well. You have to be really cognizant of how you're gonna seal them and how you're gonna hide the fasteners or how the fasteners are gonna look. But I think they did a great job of them here. This back room though is amazing. This light blue, it just looks like the most relaxing place I've ever seen. Fluffy chairs and the light and that color. Of course, the stainless countertops, as I've said a million times, my favorite type of countertops. Incredibly durable, get better with it. And the thing I don't like, plywood kind of banquettes and walls. I just think it feels just like too much like a wood box. It feels very splintery. I would prefer the walls were a plaster or just a mudded drywall. Maybe if you just stained the plywood, maybe a fun color, and made the seating a lot more comfortable looking, really motivating me to come hang out there. And your whole house needs to feel like you want to hang out there, including a workspace. Okay, there they are, places to do stuff in. Multi-purpose, they feel good to be in, practical to use. And like I said, you don't have to have a dedicated room to do stuff in. Partition a large kitchen, a living area, or just add some built-in furniture to a corner of a room that invites you to do the things you like doing, because that's important. It makes us feel human, I think. All right, see you next week.